Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of The Fat Show. So on today's episode, I'm doing something a little bit different on my 100 Series Toyota Land Cruiser. I'm going to title this video Interior Exterior Restoration. I guess that's the best name I can come up with for what I'm going to do. I'm not trying to make this truck be a show truck. I plan to take it camping and on the trail, and I am not going to be the least bit upset if I run it down some brush or whatever and get scratches down the side. But that being said, the truck is, 22 years old at this point, so I want to just make sure that I keep the paint in as good a condition as I can for as long as I can. And then same thing with the interior. Surprisingly, the interior is actually pretty good, which is pretty rare for 100 Series. So I want to keep it that way. So I'm going to do a very slight paint correction on the truck. The actual natural white is a single stage paint for Toyota. So it kind of gives that like hazy oxidation without the clear coat, although I'd rather have single stage paint because you don't have to worry about clear coat fade, and scratches are a little less prominent, or they stand out a little bit less than dual stage paint. So I'm going to polish it, clay bar it, polish it. I'm going to give it a ceramic coating, and you might think that's crazy to do on an off-road vehicle, but like I said, I'm really just trying to keep the paint in a good condition, and that provides a UV protection that will keep it from getting damaged from the sun. I don't keep it inside all the time. It sits outside in the Texas sun most of the time. So I'm going to give it a ceramic coating. And then the interior, I'm just gonna clean up and then make sure I get like a good coat of moisture into the leather seats. And I'm also gonna start stripping some of the rear interior out so I can start building my overland setup a few episodes down the road. So with that, let's get straight to it. I've already washed the truck outside. So the next step I'm gonna be doing is doing a clay bar. The first step in my process is obviously just washing the car. I first just rinse it off with the pressure washer. I then cover it in the snow foam. I don't use any mitt to wipe anything down. I just rinse it off the first stage to remove the loose or large contaminants. And then I'll do a second snow foam where I'll actually go over the whole car and scrub it down to remove all the dirt, rinsing it off one last time. This has worked pretty well in the past for me. I try and dry the truck with a leaf blower just to prevent as many water spots as possible. Although in this case, when we're going to be clay barring the car, it doesn't actually really matter. So normally when I clay a vehicle, I use an actual like old school clay bar. But in this case, I bought one of these kind of new synthetic, whatever, clay mitts that they sell. It's a much bigger surface area, obviously being a truck or whatever, so I didn't want to spend forever with a tiny little piece of clay going over everything. And then, like I said, I'm not trying to be perfect. So the first step is just basically get all the impurities out of the paint before polishing. So I'm gonna go ahead and clay the whole vehicle. And this paint is definitely in need of this. There's a ton of contamination in here. So I'm just using some quick detailer as lubricant, and then I'm just gonna run over the whole vehicle and attempt to get everything out of the paint so that it's nice and fresh for polishing. All right, so I finished the clay bar, and probably the most difficult part was just in this Land Cruiser logo. So for the land or whatever, I like OCD, like with my finger in a little piece of clay and rag, spent like an hour doing this, and then I just couldn't do it anymore. I thought about maybe buying emblem tape and just removing the emblems, but actually had the idea of going and getting my steam cleaner, which I would probably never do this on the car. I really, really wanted to look super pretty and not scratch at all. I used the steam cleaner and it like was a night and day difference. There was so much dirt in all these or in all the letters. This was like all yellow, the Toyota logo. And yeah, it did a really good job. I guess like inside the A is the only place that there's still a little bit of dirt, but I don't care. Just be careful because it does put a lot of heat in it to make sure your logos don't come off. But I'm pretty happy with it. Like I said, I'm not trying to make this a show car. I'm just trying to make it a little bit better. So next up is going to be the polish. So I guess I'll show you what the hood looks like now, because other than getting on the roof, you can see kind of how it's just like a flat white. It doesn't really have a lot of gloss to it. And that's because of the oxidation on the single stage paint. Or just, yeah, just faded almost like your clear coat does on a clear coat car, just in the white paint. It's amazing how much porous this paint is. It was actually pretty difficult to clay bar because there was a lot of dirt just kind of deeply stuck down in the paint. But yeah, I'm gonna probably film the hood and then maybe time lapse the rest of it. Like, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but I'm just a very DIY detailer. If you want professional results, probably don't follow me, but I'm just gonna do a very, very light finish polish on it to try and just give it a little bit more shine before I put the ceramic on. Again, I don't really care. I really just want the ceramic for UV protection. So hopefully it'll be a little bit better, but I don't really care if it doesn't come out that good. All right, so I'm using a Chemical Gas 36, which is kind of like middle of the range as far as as far as a cut goes. And then I'm using the same thing, Chemical Gas medium cutting pad. And yeah, I don't know. I thought about going finer, but I think if I do like a 38, it might not remove this oxidation, and this might not be as glossy of a finish as I could possibly get. But like I said, I don't care. I'm also not gonna do any tape lines like most detailing videos do. I'm literally just trying to get a flat surface for the ceramic to adhere to. I'm just working the polish around on low speed. And then I guess I will kind of try and do half the hood at once. It's the first time I've ever done this on a vehicle of this size, so. All right, and then I'm just gonna wipe it down with a 40% isopropyl alcohol to remove the polish. And this is also what you need to wipe it down with before ceramic coating, conveniently enough. And you guys can probably see on the camera where spots I missed, and you'll be critiquing me right now, but that's all right. I think I can live with it. Yeah, it wasn't transformative, but it's kind of what I thought. I was hoping for a little bit more gloss, but I guess it's kind of what I expected. It's so hard to see this with synthetic light. You really need natural light. Well, looking at it straight on, it looks a little bit shinier. Nothing is really, I can't really see it on the camera, but yeah, it's definitely more glossy on this side than that side. Sweet, pretty happy with that. For minimal effort, a tiny bit of more gloss. Didn't burn through the paint. And I'll just keep going around the whole car. All right, so now I'm just gonna work my way around the car and touch up all the blemishes on here. And again, I'm not doing this to try and make it look pretty. I'm doing this to keep it from rusting. So this one's pretty obvious here. It's a big one. It's not down to the metal, it's down on the primer. I'll show you what I'm gonna do for the ones that are down to the metal. I'm just gonna use a little bit of sandpaper to clean up the rust before I paint it. Yeah, some of these are probably gonna take a couple coats to really get all of it. And I'll show you what I'm gonna use for some of the smaller ones too. But I have these like women's makeup applicators that are just super fine kind of felt tip. And these work pretty good for the smaller rock chips like this, where the brush is too big. And I don't even know if this shows up on camera, but there's some tiny rock chips. I'm just gonna fill in with these, with this thing. All right, so under the tailgate here is a good example of areas that have some rust. So if you have a larger area, you can use like maybe like 2000 or 3000 grit sandpaper to clean it up. But this little sanding strip that comes on this Doppler color paint pen actually works pretty good. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use this. Try and clean all the rust off this area. And then I'll hit it with some alcohol before I paint it. Even though no one can see behind, I just want to get it to prevent it from rusting. All right, so while the paint is drying, I'm going to do something to make the truck look just a little bit better. Maybe this is a little bit unnecessary because the whole side, whatever, plastic trim and paint is all scuffed. By the way, if anyone knows the color of this, please let me know in the comments, because I tried finding it and I couldn't. I was going to get some touch-up paint for it as well. It doesn't actually show up on the window sticker like the base body paint, and I know that this was just a US truck for only the trucks that were imported in the South. The importer, I think, was in Alabama, Gulf Shores Importers or something like that. They actually did this at the port or whatever, so only the Southern trucks and then only the US trucks had this two-tone lower whatever. I actually like it, even though it's kind of like outdated. I don't know, just kind of reminds me of the time of the truck. But anyways, I'm gonna make it look a little bit better just because the silver is kind of all faded, different colors. So I got some vinyl gunmetal color trim, which I'll post a link of to the Amazon page that I got it on. I already did the other side and I actually really like it. Just gives it just like a little bit more contrast. This silver kind of maybe sort of matches the wheels, but this kind of gunmetal is somewhere between the wheels and then the black window trim. I don't know. It also kind of makes it look like the older like FJ62s that kind of had like the brown pinstriping or whatever. But anyways, I'm gonna stop blabbing and I'll show you how I applied this. It's actually super easy. I've never actually done vinyl before, but yeah, obviously I'm just cutting it to length here. And you don't really need many tools to do this. And I'm gonna do the longest piece, which is obviously the most challenging. The shorter ones are pretty easy. But yeah, one thing I forgot to do is if there's anything behind it, it will kind of show through. So I need to make sure this is all, even though I've cleaned the truck today, hit it with some alcohol. And I guess, I don't know, I've never applied vinyl before. I guess you can use like baby soap or whatever to lubricate the back of it if you want to like mess with it and move it all around that much, or move it around a bunch, but you should be able to get it the first try, so you don't actually have to move it around. And so far I've had pretty good luck with not getting any air bubbles in it. And I will cut this part out so you don't have to watch me peel this. I've just been peeling a little bit. And then just kind of lining it up to make sure it's level. That seems to be the trick with this, is just making sure you get it level. So now that front bit is stuck on there, looks like that's probably gonna work, maybe. And then just working your way down. And if you get an air bubble on there like that, you can pull it back. But it looks like I don't have this level. I haven't had any trouble peeling it back off if needed. Of course, you know, the one I go to film is the one I'm going to struggle with the most. It actually went surprisingly smooth on the other side. And then I've just honestly just been using my fingernails to trace the outline of the trim panel or whatever. I have like a vinyl spongy. I honestly haven't really been using it. You can use this, but I honestly find that my fingernail gets a finer line. And it makes it a lot easier to get a finer, better like indentation in it when you go to cut it. It just makes the razor kind of track better. I've tried both a regular razor blade and an X-Acto knife. And I find like I have better control when I get a better line when I use the X-Acto knife. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I've just been starting at one end and then just following. Of course now it walks, but just following that indentation I made down it. It's always the one that I film that I fucking screw up. And you just gotta kind of keep like a sideways pressure, kind of angle the pieces down and up, respectively. I've found to get the cleanest line. And it's that easy, folks. And then obviously, or I don't know if it's obvious or whatever, but I've gone back and kind of just folded it over again with my fingernail. Kind of makes me wonder like what would be possible as far as the designs. Like I kind of thought of like maybe trying to put like TRD stripes in here, but maybe with the brown, white and brown, that's not really gonna look good with TRD colors. I don't know, but just kind of made me, I've never done anything with vinyl, so it just kind of made me wonder what all would be possible. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and apply the ceramic coating. I'm using CarPro C Quartz. So it comes with a little microfiber applicator like this. And you basically just do 2 lines down the pad. And I forget how big of an area they say this is good for, but then you're just gonna apply it in a basically crosshatch pattern. And on white, this is really hard to see. Basically just gonna do up to the window washer for this first one. And if you hadn't just polished your car, then you do have to wipe everything down with alcohol. But since I wiped off the polish with the isopropyl alcohol, I'll call that good. Oh, this. You apply it like this in this crosshatch pattern, and then you wait for it to what they call flash, which kind of turns like a rainbowy color. It's okay if you get on the plastic too. It actually does a really good job of bringing plastic trim back to life, I guess I'll say. And then you just polish it off with a lint-free rag. Looks like this first half is probably ready. And it's still a little bit tacky. You don't want to like get too dry, but you also don't want it to still be wet. And I'm gonna do 2 coats for this, and they say for the best results to wait 24 hours between coats. And then once you're done, you can't let it touch water for another 24 hours, so it does tie up your garage for a few days. It's kind of nice on this like single stage paint that doesn't have a clear coat. This actually gives it a decent amount of gloss. All right, so the last place I want to ceramic trim or ceramic coat on the truck is all the black plastic and like rubberized trim. So probably the best place to show that will be here on this like rear air diffuser. This does a really good job of bringing out the black in plastic and like rubberized trim. So I'm just gonna do 1 coat of this on all of the black kind of rubberized trim on the truck. All right, so now I'm gonna move on to the interior. I already went ahead and pulled all the floor mats out. As you can see, the interior in my truck's actually not that bad as far as 100 series go. Like kind of like the exterior, I'm not going to kill myself trying to get it show worthy. I'm just going to basically remove as much dirt as I can and then just try and condition everything, get some moisture into these seats. They're a little bit dry, and then same thing, just protect all the plastics. So if your interior is really dirty, you can use steam cleaner to get all the dirt out of the kind of soft touch stuff, which I might use here, but I think that's probably really the only place that I need to do it. Obviously, I'm going to go ahead and vacuum everything out. The rear is particularly terrible. The carpet that was in here was kind of, obviously you can see it was flaking and falling apart. So I'm gonna go ahead and vacuum everything out. Probably gonna go ahead and just pull these rear seats too, because I don't plan on using them. And as soon as this detail video is done, I'm gonna start building the drawers back here that I'm gonna use for my camping overlanding setup, whatever you wanna call it. I will probably go ahead and clean the carpets. They're pretty nasty. But with that, I guess I'll just vacuum the car out. Not too exciting. All right, so this like leather here on the door is the only place in the interior that's seems to have like dirt caked onto it in a way that if I just used interior cleaner, I'm not sure it would come out of all these pores. So what I'm gonna do, just hit it with a little steam. And yeah, that already looks awesome just doing that. I don't know, maybe the interior cleaner itself would have done the same thing, but to me it looks like it was going to be kind of difficult to get that out of there. I'm just going to wipe down the rest of the plastic in the truck just with interior cleaner, get all the dust off of it, and just get it ready for the sealant or whatever, the conditioner. All right, so for plastics, if you've watched any of my videos before, you know I'm a huge fan of this Aerospace 303. The reason I like this is because it gives the plastics like a shiny look, but it doesn't have that greasy feel that like Armor All does. So every plastic surface is going to get this, and then all the leather surfaces are going to get leather balm, not balm, put on them, and this will shine the stuff up, but it won't feel greasy to the touch like if you Armor All your whole car. All right, so here's how the interior looks after putting the conditioner, sealing, whatever this stuff is, on. I used the Meguiar's leather balm on the seats and then that Aerospace 303 on all the plastic stuff. And of course, I'm a terrible YouTuber and I didn't do it before, but I think it looks awesome. So you can see how much kind of gloss there is in the dash now, but it's not oily at all. The seats, I'm definitely gonna The rest of this I'm not going to touch for a long time, but the seats I'm definitely going to try and keep up with, giving it some leather balm, just try and get as much time out of these as I can. Eventually, I will need seat covers like all 100 series, but I'm pretty happy with the results. I also got these WeatherTech floor mats, so now I never have to see the stained carpet, and yeah, much better than the old carpet ones that were in here. So pretty happy with how everything came out. And yeah, I think I'm kind of more or less done with this project. All right, so the last thing I wanted to do, just to get myself a little bit of customization on my Land Cruiser, a little bit of retro throwback style. I bought this old like FJ40, FJ60 four-wheel drive logo from Etsy. So I just used this piece of painter's tape to just make a line parallel with the taillight, and then I'm just gonna do it by eyeball, but try and get it kind of halfway between this body line and the tailgate. And this came with some double-sided tape. Hopefully this will be enough to stick it on here. Hopefully it stays on there because it wasn't cheap. But I think it looks pretty cool. It's pretty centered there. All right, so I have one more thing I'd like to do, which is once I saw how easy this vinyl was to apply, I decided to give it just like a little bit of a whatever throwback custom touch or whatever. And I measured these lines in the body molding, and they're exactly 1/8 of an inch wide. So I bought this 1/8 inch wide like vinyl wrap, cheap vinyl wrap off of Amazon in the kind of like old throwback FJ60 TRD colors. So yeah, I already did the other side. I'm pretty happy with how it came out. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply this now, which is pretty easy to do. It's a little bit more difficult than the thicker vinyl wrap just because, I don't know, it's just a little harder to work with the thinner pieces. But in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty easy to do for the, whatever, how big of a difference it makes. I don't know, to me it just takes it, gives it a little bit more, I don't know. I don't really know what the word for it is. It takes it a little bit of the soccer mom out and gives a little bit of customization, more fun looking. I don't know, the words are really escaping me this morning. I just have a small X-Acto knife that I'll just cut out the kind of half circle at the end. All right, so here's how it looks in the natural light. I'm definitely really happy with the results. I mean, it's not like a night and day difference, and obviously the bumper's still like scratched here or whatever, but as far as the paint goes, it definitely looks like it has a lot more gloss than it did before, and hopefully it will be protected from UV rays for a long time to come. I definitely like the pinstripes. I was a little torn on ordering them, and if I would even like them. I kind of expected to just immediately remove them, but I'm pretty happy with them. They give it a little bit of retro throwback look, and they're not too like over the top where it's whatever, like takes away from the car, like it looks like it shouldn't be there. Pretty happy with this Etsy 4-wheel drive whatever badge. Make again just a little bit of a retro throwback touch. So yeah, definitely happy with the results. Hopefully it's well protected for the future to come. Interior, I mean, as far as for a 22-year-old vehicle with 250,000 miles, I mean, looks pretty good. Definitely happy with how it cleaned up in here too. And I'm definitely happy I decided not to remove the wood trim. Mine's still in pretty good condition, so I'm just gonna rock it for now. Someday maybe it'll get so bad I'll have to take it off, but for now, I like it. So that's a wrap on this episode, guys. It was a lot of work, but I'm really happy with the results, and I hope that my truck is gonna stay in good condition for a long time to come. If you like this episode, please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more Land Cruiser content. I'm gonna be starting to work on all the overland modifications next. So yeah, please stay tuned for that. And then if anyone knows the paint color for these US trucks that have the like bronze trim on the bottom side, I'd like to know that. I couldn't really find anything in my research. I know I could just go try and paint match it, but maybe someday I'll touch up some of that stuff too. All right, thank you guys for watching. Bye.